Hi, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of the School Librarian Learning Network podcast. I'm Steve Tatro, often known as Dr. T Loves Books, and I love talking about all things related to school libraries. I'm an old dog who's always trying to learn new tricks. That's why in each episode of the SLLN podcast, I'll chat with a school librarian about a lesson, program, or activity they love. Hopefully, this can be a place for school librarians to get ideas and find new ways to engage with their students and staff. Speaking of which, I'd love to hear about what you and your friends are doing in your school library. Email me at drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com to tell me about what you're doing, offer feedback about the SLLN podcast, or to request a podcast sticker. As Amy Herman likes to say, being a guest on a podcast is a great way to show your admins you are engaged in meaningful professional development and leadership in the profession. So drop me a line and let's chat. That being said, the opinions and ideas shared in this podcast by myself and my guests are our own and do not reflect those of our school districts. I just like to geek out about school libraries. So without further ado, let's get to this week's episode. Hey everybody, we are back and I have pulled off a coup. I have managed to land the one, the only Rain Smith, and I am very excited. So before I jump ahead, I usually jump ahead like for 5 minutes, but instead I'm just going to say, welcome Rain. Why don't you tell people who you are, where you are, what you do?
Hi, I'm Rain Smith. I'm the School Library Media Specialist at Whiteland Community High School, which is a suburban high school in the Clark Pleasant Community School District, which is just south of Indianapolis. So if Indianapolis is a clock, we're just under 6 o'clock in the adjoining county.
Good to know.
Growing suburban district. I'm in a building that's under construction, a massive construction project. We're currently a 2-building campus school. We're going to all end up under one roof when it's done.
Okay.
There's a 3-story academic wing due to open this summer on the front of our building. My library is in a temporary space this year because the cafeteria was torn down over the summer and we had to have a cafeteria. So that's the library is a cafeteria right now.
That's like my nightmare.
I know. And I'm in a temporary classroom space. And then I moved to my second temporary space this summer. And then I will finally get to come home to my fully remodeled library in 2028.
Well, I'll tell you, folks, if you're not following Rain on Bluesky, you definitely want to because she's been posting some pictures of the different stuff she's been doing in her spaces, of her mobile library cart.
My mobile makerspace.
Mobile makerspace. Amazing. So good. And you did those awesome vinyl decals for it and stuff. So wild. I love it.
It took me 3 tries to make the vinyl work. I was not a master at it to start, guys.
It's a little tricky. My wife has been doing some vinyls for little plant jars that I have.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing those.
Yeah. And getting them on there right. It's a little bit of a trick. I had said to Rain before we started recording that I'm cheating a little bit because usually I see somebody has this really cool idea and we talk a little bit online and then they kind of go into the details with me and I'm kind of hearing a lot of the detail, the nitty gritty stuff for the first time, but I've actually seen Rain talk about this before and I am so glad she's here to share this because she shared this at AASL and it was awesome. And it was just, I love what you did with this. So
thank you.
I'm front loading us a little bit here, but why don't you maybe just want to just tell us the story of like how this kind of came about? You did such a great job when you were kind of walking through it at AASL.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I'm in a growing school and a growing school district. We actually added a 6th elementary school just a couple years ago.
Unbelievable.
And maybe on the grounds of a 7th pretty soon. We have the largest enrolled middle school in the state.
Very nice.
As a person in a middle school, if I tell you there's like 1,800 middle school students in our building, you would it's
losing my mind. I can't even.
I work in a high school and I walk in the middle school and I have a partner media specialist at the middle school who's a genius. And I walk in there and I'm like hyperventilating because it's more than I can handle. But so this enormous growth comes with other issues too. We have our 6 elementary buildings have paraprofessionals and they're wonderful, well-trained, lovely, lovely people, but they're booked all the time. They're so we're all busy. But our district asked me to do training for the staff. And so I was training all of our paras and my middle school media specialist, Stacy. Shout out Stacy Kern. She's the bomb. We were doing some training and stuff. And every time I can get the paras together, which is only once or twice a year, we train and I always leave some time to like address concerns, Q&A, things Rain and Stacy can help you learn.
I'm just going to jump in right there and say, anybody who has to do any kind of a training, if you're not leaving some time for people to bring their own issues, their own ideas, their own questions, like so vitally important. And I feel like it gets missed so often in education when you got kind of training stuff. So sorry, just wanted to throw that in.
No, it's a good point. And actually frequently so I get to see them guaranteed once, sometimes twice a year. So I always try to ask them what they need. So we did this intense training. We shuffle the assistant superintendent off so that they can tell me what they need. And part of the time I dedicate to kind of griping for a little bit, and then we move on to problem solution kind of things. Because sometimes you just need to vent.
Yeah.
To somebody who understands your job.
Oh, 100%.
So we were sitting and gabbing, and what I was gathering out of this session that time was how many books everybody had that were broken and needing repair. And everybody, my book hospital, and somebody's like, well, mine's like a whole book ward. And I'm like, how many books could you be? And obviously elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools operate and look a little different. When I think about the number of broken books I get in here, first off, my books come in 2 conditions. Can be returned to the shelf or must go in the trash can. That's what all high school books look like. There's no like torn corner, one torn page. Like they were talking about all these books that need repair. And I was like, somebody put it in the urinal? Because that's mine comes back soaking wet. And somebody's like, I found it in the bathroom. I'm like, you could have just put it in the trash can. And so, like, I don't know what books come back for me, either moldy or with a hole in them, like a bullet hole in it. I don't know what's going on
using
with the books.
Food as your bookmark. Yeah.
Traditionally, I take 10 seconds of holding it and making stank face and then putting it in a trash can. That's what happens. So I was a little lost at this notion of all these books that needed repair. And I asked some questions and was ferreting some things out. And they were asking me if I could teach them how to repair books, because most of them don't know. And I was like, well, that I can arrange as a training. Yes, I can teach you to repair books. But then as we got further into the discussion, it was like, but when will we do it? And so I was like, I wanted to gather some information. I'm like, can somebody send me a few of the books you need? Like, can I look at them? Like, I wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah.
And I do have student helpers, student TAs and stuff. And there was a part of me that thought, well, maybe I can train my TAs to fix them. And again, in my brain, I was thinking like a paper box of books from each building. I started digging into the catalog and realizing when they met book hospital, like hundreds and hundreds. And one building had not touched book repair in 3 or 4 years. She had thousands of books sitting in a back room assigned from the catalog to book hospital. And I was, all of a sudden my stomach was turning. I was like, oh. And think about the amount of money that is too.
Yes.
A, that's books kids don't have access to. B, that's books that would have to be replaced. Or C, just the pure cost of not having them or having to buy them again at a higher cost, because we know book prices keep getting more and more expensive every year. Right.
And even just having to store that much stuff. How much space in your library is now dedicated to that could be used for something more productive?
Exactly. And so as I was starting to get the scope of this issue, I was a little overwhelmed. And I talked to my student TAs and was like, well, is this something you'd like to learn or help with? And they were willing, but kind of, because they also have assigned tasks they love to do in my library for me. And I was going to be taking them away from something else. So I was working on it, pondering it. I get a box of books in so I could start looking at what this kind of so a lot of times it was like torn paperback cover or one torn page inside, or the spines come loose with the glue. And I'm like, oh, these are not terrible repairs, like in my brain. And I'm like, especially for some of those paperback Scholastic books, you may only get 3 or 4 more circs out of them, but that's a lot of circulation on 100 books. And so started putting this together in the same time frame. The state of Indiana changed some requirements for the alternative diploma track, which is for students with special needs who are not earning a traditional diploma. And one of those changes included required job hours.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this list of what a job is. So it could be like a real paying job at McDonald's or something. It could be internship like, but there are this list of requirements of what they must be able to do or learn in a job. So at the same token, our staff that serves that body of students in my building was working really hard to create in-house jobs for students who couldn't get jobs off campus.
Okay.
And we're talking about hundreds of hours of work
Yeah.
in your 4 years of high school for this diploma. And so they needed like this regular, steady work. So one of our intense resource teacher, Mary Zogby, shout out to Mary Zogby,
Woohoo!
who happens to be a huge library lover and friend of my school library. Plus, she worked in her high school library when she was in high school.
Outstanding.
She loves the library. She came down to see me and she was like, I would like to do a job in the library. I'm like, okay, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
Like, like not to be like that, but I'm a one-woman operation at the moment. I do not have another adult that works in the library with me, which is really challenging with 2,200 kids, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
So I work the desk and teach the class and check out the books and buy the books and put the books in the system. Like, I'm a one-woman show. I even answer the phone sometimes. Sometimes being the operative word. So she's like, we could come in once a week and dust or something. And I'm like, yeah, no. I'm like, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to me. Plus, I can't guarantee my library at the time. Well, at any time still, I couldn't guarantee my library space at the time they needed a regular job. I teach classes when classes come to me. I teach when I go somewhere. And it was like, I can't guarantee you access to the space every Thursday from this time to this time.
That happens to me sometimes, that the office is great about sending this one sub that's in our building regularly to the library if she doesn't have stuff to do. And she'll come in and be like, what can I do for you today? And like, sometimes I can be like, oh, yeah, if you can work on this book repair. Yeah, awesome. But there's times she'll come in and I feel like, how much time am I going to spend setting up a job for her to do that, like I could just probably get it done myself in the time it's going to take me to get her set up.
And that's the other thing about library volunteers that people don't understand. I have to stop and train you.
Right.
If you want to shelve books, I have to teach you to shelve books. It is helpful to have volunteers and it's very helpful when they're consistent. But if somebody is just popping in for an hour and I'm never going to see them again. And it's always sounds like I'm refusing help, which is not the case at all. But if I have to stop my job to teach somebody to help me, then we got problems. And so as I was pondering this, is about the time we had this training. And then I'm sitting at the desk one day and I'm like, wait, Mary's class could learn to fix books.
Woohoo! Problem fixes problem.
I felt like there was a cartoon light bulb that literally went off in my head. And my student worker who works next to me was sitting next to me when this happened, literally turned and goes, did you just have an idea? Like, apparently it read on my face. So I called Mary up and I was like, hey, I don't know if this is a thing or not. There's a lot of moving parts, but would you be open to the idea of teaching your kids to fix books? And I told her kind of what was going on and she was elated. The caveat I had was once I taught it, it could not stay in the library. I can't have your class have their meeting, their work every week being here. We have to find them an alternative space. Remember what I said about space in my build? But she was like, yes, if we could set up some sort of like permanent cart and stuff that she could keep in a closet, she would host it in her classroom.
Okay.
The other caveat was I couldn't be the supervisor. Like you couldn't call me every time you needed something. I'm going to teach you things. I'm happy to come help when you schedule me, but it has to still work into the library scheduling. We can't just pop in and be like, hey, we need you right now, Ms. Smith.
Right.
Like it doesn't work. So she was down with that. So I asked her to give me a few weeks and let me brainstorm and figure some stuff out. So I started plotting what had to happen. We needed location, supervision, what materials we would have to have, what that would cost, who would supply them, if I could get these elementary paras to give up enough, because, we're all control freaks, library workers, librarians, like giving somebody, relinquishing your broken books to me and trusting that they're going to come back. Although my first sales pitch was, they haven't moved out of that closet in 5 years. Are you going to miss them if we mess them up?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I literally, are you out anything at this point?
Yeah. Can't make it any worse.
And so I specifically engaged with one para her elementary is right next door to mine building. And I was like, hey, can we start with you as a guinea pig? Give me things you don't care if they get damaged as I teach. Because the fact is, the first few we try probably are going to turn out to be hot mess express.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, can you also send me a variety of problems so I can teach taping pages or gluing spines or like, so she sent me a couple boxes of books.
Awesome.
And I sat down and started lesson planning. I did tap Mary a couple times and asked her, like, hey, skill level vocabulary, this, that. I needed to understand where and what to start with. And her intense resource classroom has a variety of students with physical and
academic challenges.
And so we wanted to make sure, like, if you can't use scissors, what is the adaptation for that? Or if you can't use a glue bottle. And so her and I spent quite a bit of time discussing. I don't think I discussed this part at AASL, by the way. We spent a lot of time talking about like how to make the modifications for her student who has no arm usage or students who have visual perception issues. So, and some of that, more of that has happened since they've been permanently in her space too.
I imagine that's sort of like as they are encountering issues, like you tried to pre-plan as much as you could, but any lesson is not going to survive contact with students. So you've got to figure it out. Yep.
And so, but we did up front, like make sure, like for the gluing situation, we had bottles, we have squeeze bottles, we have paint brushes, we have popsicle sticks, like making sure that we had a variety of application methods.
Gotcha.
For the tape and tape dispensers, we have the actual, thingy on the tape,
like a cutter?
Toothy thing that comes. Yes. I was like, what is the toothy cutter thing on the tape dispenser called?
I don't know.
Toothy cutter thing.
Yeah.
We have that, which is difficult for some people with mobility issues. So we have scissors and we have a safety razor blade.
Gotcha.
So we have like a variety of methods of things. And so I also had to make sure I had tape dispensers. Oh my goodness. And most of this is mine out of my library. So the large book format stapler is now on their cart. My big multi-tape dispenser with the weighty bottom that holds like 6 different types of tape is on that cart. All this stuff is not physically in my library anymore. It's mine, but we have loaded the book repair cart with all of this material. I bought little individual glue applicators. I buy the glue in the giant jug and then we put it in smaller because it's just cost effective.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
I kept the cover one in the library because it's an expensive piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And so it's a field trip when they come to use the cover one. And it's a big deal because everybody loves the cover one. Like, don't think it's just librarians, folks. Everybody loves it. And when I tell the cover one guy that, he gets elated at conference and showers me with presents because like, he likes being able to tell people how much my students love the cover one. So we had to have a storage cart, book cleaner, Also, for some of the requirements for their diploma in the class, we had to create a job log.
Okay.
So they can record their hours, their activities, what they've learned. We created all kinds of posters with like workflow information. Then we created a lot of laminated materials so they can write on them and erase them. So we have like for every book that comes in, they write their name at the top. They write the title of the book. And then it's got some pictures on it that's like torn page, broken cover, that they can mark what it is they have to fix.
Okay.
And put like the page number under it and stuff. And we reuse those for every book.
Love that.
I think on their log, they put the title of the book and what kind of work they did with it.
Gotcha. Okay.
The log is changed over time, so I've not seen the most recent iteration of the log.
Gotcha.
And it's digital because we're obviously a one-to-one school.
Excellent.
And those records are easier to transfer that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had to buy rubber bands and binder clips. Like it was a lot of gathering scissors, like razor blades. It was bone folders, squeegees. So I had a lot of stuff in the house, but getting multiples and duplicates for lots of kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk about money, by the way, this is going to look different in everybody's school.
Mhm.
Obviously, resource special needs classes get extra money
Mhm.
from our state. My principal kicked in some extra funds because
Okay.
he was prepared. They were prepared for this job class needing every job class had some set aside money
Okay.
that was developed. I obviously purchase from a special account that buys book repair stuff in my building. We tapped every school that was participating, not the first year, but a year in. Everybody had to chip in X amount of dollars because that material is going on their books,
Sure.
which is really low. Like, instead of everybody individually now buying tape and everybody individually buying glue, it's bought in one building.
Right.
So it really actually cuts the cost down quite a
Right.
bit. I would say if you multiplied it across the district.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to make sure how the books move. We have a courier in my district who goes to every building twice a day
Okay.
to deliver inter-office mail and stuff. We use orange labels for the library. If it's orange in inter-office, it comes to a school library.
Oh, that's clever.
Instead of just the regular white or whatever.
Yeah.
And we put those on the box, and it just from this building to that building, and they know orange label, and specifically it says book repair mail. It goes to her room and not to me then.
Gotcha.
And our courier just drops and picks them up as
Nice.
needed, and that all operates without me. But we arranged that to begin with. So it took a lot of that. Then I sat down and was like, okay, now what do I need to teach in what order?
Right.
And so it ended up being we have a modified schedule in my building where we are on a 7 period a day schedule, Monday, Tuesday, Friday. And then we have block scheduling Wednesday, Thursday.
That sounds confusing as all get out.
It may sound confusing, but it's not. So it's a traditional day, 3 days a week, but then you get an extended period, either Wednesday
Gotcha.
or Thursdays. And
Okay.
then there's an extra period to make the Wednesday, Thursday balance.
Gotcha.
And so their work day was going to become that 90-minute period every week.
Okay.
And they do a prep for the Tuesday before. So the regular 42-minute period and then the 90-minute period. So keeping that in mind, I hashed out 5, it ended up being 6 weeks of lessons. My original plan was 5.
Sometimes you just got to adjust.
So for 6 solid weeks, they came in once a week during that 90-minute period. And specifically for this population, the lessons progressed from Smith do, we do, they do.
Okay.
That was the process of planning. I know, we know together, they know. The very first lesson, the first week they were here, first off I did shared vocabulary. So we learned parts of the book.
Sure.
So that we could identify what was broken. So page, cover, spine. We had 5 minutes of giggles about spine. And we traced our fingers on the spine of the book and then on Miss Smith's spine because they had the same word. And we talked about why that was. My spine holds me up and together, and the spine of the book holds it up and together. Like, it was not in my plan to teach it, but it's how it went. And so we talked about end pages, and we had jokes about the ends. Like, I had no preparation in my own brain. I've never taught elementary school either. So my elementary school folks are probably like, yeah, you should have known that. And I'm like, no, didn't know that was coming. We talked about corners specifically. So we learned shared vocabulary. And then we looked at the kinds of damage on the books that first lesson and how to mark them on our damage sheet.
Okay.
So that sheet we have that's dry erase. So it was like, oh, look, this cover's ripped. How would we mark that? Oh, look, I found page 39 hanging out. And so the spine is loose. Ha, 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 spine. and we would do, and so literally lesson 1 was just learning books, broken stuff, just how to, like, touching books. Then we checked out some books in my library because we were around books. So the next week when they came in, we checked. We did check for understanding on all that. And then we started marking on the sheet what we needed to do. And when we identified it, we watched me do it.
Okay.
And we started with the easy stuff, taping a page, taping the end page, everything with tape. By the way, you're going to eventually hear me tell you that students love tape. Tape, 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 tape. They want to tape everything. They need white tape and glass tape and clear tape and 4-inch wide tape and 1-inch wide. They love tape. I don't understand it. I don't have an obsession with tape, but whatever. So the next week they came in, they did that activity where they taped things with help from the aide that's with them all the time, their teacher and myself.
Okay.
And then we started looking for other types of damage. Then these lessons progress. So we do the same. It's always, what did we do last time? Watch Miss Smith do it. We do it. And we did that with glue. We did that with, how to rubber band the book together to dry, like how to binder clip things. So
I'm just curious about the glue. Like taping's pretty straightforward. How did gluing go? Like, because I
actually thought they were more successful at gluing than taping because the glue specifically, 99% of the time, the spine's completely loose. So you're just painting it in a strip and sticking the book back into it.
That's fair. That's fair.
There are some more complicated glue applications, obviously.
Sure,
but
sure.
I thought gluing was easier than taping, but they love tape.
Huh. I always make a mess with glue. And even when it's you just got to reattach the spine, I always manage to put too much glue. I mean, I'd rather do too much than not enough. So
actually, too much is the trick.
Yeah.
So the trick I taught the kids is with the wax paper.
See, I don't use wax paper.
Oh, well,
maybe I need to use wax paper.
Maybe that's your first problem. So as a side note, one of the resources we keep in this class, Demco has a library of book repair videos that are accessible.
Okay.
And in my presentation, I gave it as a QR code. It's real easy to get to. We let students review those as well whenever they need. If you don't know a lot about book repair, those are very, very handy. Like, I keep shouting out Demco. They eventually owe me money. I like their products a lot, and they always give me great service. So I buy all my book repair material from Demco as well. So, and their videos are there. So it's easy peasy. And for the students, especially because they're identifying the product I have given them with what's in the video.
Right.
So
very easy transfer.
Very easy transfer. Yeah. And then eventually I got to show them the cover one.
Mm.
And it's magic. I actually love the cover one as well. I'm guilty. If y'all don't know what a cover one is, it's a machine that heats up a plate where you stick this pre-made glue strip into your spine when your spine is broken. You can set it on the plate, depending on the thickness of the book, for an amount of time. It beeps at you, and it has a little cooling fan. You set it down to cool off the hot spine, so the hot glue melts into the edges of the pages and reattaches your book. So we did all that, and then we spent a couple weeks together where it was the teacher, aide, I, and the students were pairing together, and then they came back. I added another week where they came back and I watched. I didn't answer questions unless desperate. I just was there if they needed me, but I wanted to see them do it before I sent them away.
Yeah.
And so after that, they moved back to Mary's room. We had hung the posters. We had set up the cart for her. I only hear from them when they schedule to come see the cover one, or they need supplies from me. Usually I get more advance notice, and we've gotten better. So this is our 2.5 year into our third. We've gotten better about telling Miss Smith before we run out of supplies that we've run out of supplies. But in the beginning, I would get somebody running down here shrieking, "But I need this tape!" And it'll just roll. And I'm like, I don't know which one that is. I could tell by size what it was, but I'm like, is this tape clear or white or has stringy things in it? Like, that's my question. So I can give them the right, because I keep the extra stuff boxes still in the library. And every once in a while, I do need book tape. Like, I have a roll for myself.
Yeah.
And I keep the giant jug of glue down here, so I know how much I've poured out to their little bottles. So, and we've definitely made some adjustments over time too. Like, Mary has found, first off, the kids love mentoring each other. So when they learn a new skill, they like to teach each other.
I love that. Love that.
And they like to support each other in what they're doing. Like, it's the best thing ever. We learned that the skills about using the cover one are also transferable to other parts of life. Like, don't touch a hot stove.
Okay.
Don't touch a hot plate on the cover one.
Mm-hmm.
When you put the paper, that's what I got distracted by. Use it with the cover one as well. You put the wax paper in to keep where the excess glue on the edges rolls back to the pages. So you wrap the interior of the pages, like the brick of the book, with wax paper. And you do that when you're using traditional glue too. So I always wrap all the pages, put a rubber band around them with the wax paper, and then when my because I'm an excess glue girl too, so it
Yeah.
all oozes out the ends. It doesn't roll back into the pages. It rolls onto the wax paper, and you can wipe it off and you bind the book with rubber bands or clips and weigh it down so it will continue to dry.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
So she's learned a lot of adjustments in that way. We've learned some things about obviously more adaptations for physical needs and issues. We had to add a rotation. She added a rotation component, so different students were working with different students at times.
Okay.
And also so that they were doing different tasks. So you may be the tape person for 6 weeks, then you move to glue, then so that you're covering all the skills. And we actually, in this almost 3 years now, have caught up on all of the repairs.
Woohoo! It just took 3 years.
Every elementary school. We still have continuing repairs now.
Sure.
But every elementary school has cleared their backlog of their hospital.
That's amazing.
And we have started doing things like repairing. In my in-house here in the high school, we've started repairing textbooks.
Oh, nice.
So from the departments, like the English department has novel sets. Those go to the book repair shop now.
Awesome.
Before they're pitched. We've started exploring some ideas of more growth, which I want to mention that this is a great job. If you're looking for a full-blown job program, you could make this a 5-day-a-week thing. Like, you could charge money for it if you wanted to in the right circumstances. We've had a couple staff members bring personal books in for repair. In my own building, we haven't advertised that big yet, but we're looking at avenues to explore maybe monetizing that a little bit, like for the community. We have been in some discussions about how we might do some outreach to our public library. I mean, they have staff that do this work, but so they can learn other job skills that have to do with currency and inventory keeping and customer service.
Yeah.
Just started. We're going to be starting this spring. We're still hammering out some of those details, a customer service element. So up until now, Mary emails with our paraprofessionals in our elementaries and they arrange the boxes come in, We're going to add a customer service element where our students have to now interact with whoever's sending the book to ask some questions about, do you have a time frame, or what kind of work are you looking for? Did we do something bad the last time? Maybe a survey, so that they learn another element.
That's awesome.
Of stuff. And especially our students stay with their resource teacher. So now we're in our 3rd year. Some of these kids are in their 3rd year of the book repair shop.
That's awesome.
So being able to add another element, and obviously we have to adapt the logs. It's not a bad thing. So I definitely can see where this doesn't also have to apply just to students with special needs. You could do this as a full-time workshop with somebody. It doesn't have to specifically be book repair in your building if you have something else to do. Furniture repair, I don't know. But for us, this is what we needed.
Well, I love it. Usually I end up asking folks, how do you take your lesson and adapt it for your students who might have different kinds of needs? And this is almost the opposite. Like, you're starting there. So it's
That's
like,
where I started.
What a great starting point, because it kind of forces you to think about, how do I cover all the bases, and like, what are the different ways what are things we're missing? And as, like you were saying, even with your best planning, you're still going to find stuff that's not quite hitting all the pegs, but that's okay. We just go back to the drawing board. And
we're still gonna find that. Every year she gets 1 or 2 new students, and we have to find a new adaptation and stuff. But here's where I get to the parts that are my favorite. One of the things we did not anticipate or plan for was the amount of time kids would need when repairing to... They get these books in from the elementary. Often they're of high interest and or reading level to the students who are repairing them. They literally stop and read the book. And so we were not prepared in the work time. So we've had to also adjust the lesson of reading time is on a different day of the week when we're in our job. We're not. So if you want to read this book, you have to record that that's the one you want to read late. But they keep reading. It's magnificent. Like, as a librarian, it's the best happy accent. I would like to take all the credit for readership going up in that population of my school. And they come and check out more books for me as well. And it's just the happiest accident. And they love seeing what the littles are reading too. They love knowing what our elementary school kids are interested in. I've heard some note passing has started happening recently where they'll leave a sticky note on a book and be like, "We hope you love it," or "I liked this
That's
book
so
too."
nice.
So there's some sort of like RA happening there too. It's
Man.
pretty great. Yeah, if we can add a component where the bigs can recommend books to the littles, I will pass out and be the happiest librarian that ever lived.
Absolutely.
But
Man, that'd
the
also be
book,
great. Like maybe a spur is maybe the bigs read to the littles. Like if we're
yeah,
reading
yeah,
books,
no,
like
I agree. Or mentor reading together, pair and read.
yes, absolutely.
There's definitely an avenue to be explored here. We're
Yeah.
not there yet, but there is an avenue to be explored here.
Love it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like I love walking in to bring them extra tape or something and watching them all accidentally reading. Like it gives me this like spark of ridiculous joy. It's and the amount of fun that they seem to be having and caring because they're genuinely engaged in something that helps other people too. So it's not just
Yes.
a job cleaning tables or to earn money. They understand they're fixing books that saves money for the school. They're sending them to another school in our district and that little kids get to use them. They are invested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Invested in helping in little kids. Like it never crossed my mind, to be quite honest. It is the happiest accident of this kind of outpouring is the real community building and the fact that they understand that I could do a job that eventually outside of school where I could help other people if that's what I
Yeah.
choose to do.
Absolutely.
Or, and you know, yeah, like it makes me wonder I'm going to cry now on audio, but like
It's such a wonderful community service element and such a great chance for these students who might otherwise not get a chance to perform in that kind of a capacity.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it also expands the idea of what a job is. Because
Yes.
when you talk to high school students, even your traditional average or above average high school students, when you talk about jobs, they're always like the mall, Walmart. And I'm always like, the public library,
Yeah.
the county museum, the art craft, which is our local historic movie theater. Like, how about in an arts field, kids? How about in a humanities field? Like, I realize they're not the highest paying jobs on the planet, as a humanities person.
Yeah.
But they do exist.
Yeah.
These are things that could be in your interest. So I think it opens their eyes to the fact that jobs and work and labor are not just literally
they can be more. Yeah, they can be more than just the money that they bring in. And a great way to think about community service in a new way too, because so often community services, we're going to help with, taking care of the local animal shelter. We're going to help at the homeless shelter, like whatever that might be. There's other ways that we can give back to our communities too. It doesn't have to necessarily just be these very narrow slots that we tend to fall into. Not that those aren't important. They absolutely are. But
agreed.
Multiple opportunities.
So when getting ready to present this at AASL, I surveyed the kids to ask them what they thought about the bookshop, just so that they had a voice too, because I want everybody to know. So here are their favorite things.
Yes.
This is hilarious because it's repetitive. They love gluing spines.
Okay.
Taping corners. Taping pages, taping the outside of the book, cutting the tape to size, being in charge of the tape dispenser, reloading the tape. Like, it's all about tape. They only love tape.
I'm noticing a theme.
And then they said, cover one.
Okay.
They love the cover one. Making sure the area they work in is clean and dry. I was not expecting that. But it is someone's job, one or two people's job, every time job week comes, that they check the desks so they do no more damage to the books. Your drinks are put away. The desk is clean. They like reading the books. I love that they told me that. And they like being a cheerleader for their friends. They like encouraging each other to learn.
Oh, man. Wow. That one just landed. Let me tell you.
I know, right?
Boy.
And they're so good at it. If you guys could see the pictures I took for my presentation, which you can't because I can't share them publicly, but the just pure love of what they're doing and with each other and being communal. I think there's something to be said too about work that's communal versus work that's solo.
Yeah.
And we all work in if you work in a school, you work in a library, you're doing, even though we often do solo work, we're doing communal work.
Yeah.
And it's part of the reason you got this job. Like none of us wanted to sit in a cubby with a red stapler all day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that gives an exposure to a type of job they weren't prepared for, potentially.
Yeah.
In that sense, too.
Love it.
And to give Mary some credence, because I also asked Mary what she thought, she told me at first she was really, really overwhelmed at the idea, because it's a lot to take on. And I think no matter what job they'd have landed on, it would have been overwhelming. That you're planning a whole program for 4 years of a kid in high school to learn job skills. And
it's a lot.
But she was like, but I trusted you, which I think is important. I want to highlight that, for especially because it's others. I think it's my school librarian friends that are listening. The fact that the work you're doing to build community in your school translates to when I walk to another community member in my school and say, hey, I have this idea for you that's eventually going to be all yours. Here we go. She was scared, but she trusted that I was going to support her and get her where she needed to be. And then I'd hear what she needs to call me. But when I said, you're going to own this at some point, it's not mine.
That speaks so much to what you are doing in that school to have built that trust.
I hope so.
Yeah. I think it absolutely does.
I think it's a testament to why we have to keep doing it. It is so isolating at times and frustrating when you're like, hey, Department X, I've told you 99 times how I can help you. I've dropped in your classroom. I've dropped in your PLC. I've written you worksheets. I've sent you emails. Like, why won't you help me? It means it's still stuck. Like, not that it was hard with Mary because she approached me to want to work in the library, but the idea that people see it in the building now too.
Yeah.
That, Rain didn't abandon her and give her a job and leave her go. Before Steve and I got on tonight, I set up a hot chocolate bar in my workroom that I give to staff as my Christmas present the last week of school. They all are excited because it's hot chocolate. If you follow me, you'll get to see pictures too of the spread. It's ridiculous. You can't do anything in moderation. They're all like, ooh, hot chocolate. Yay, I get free hot chocolate. No, they come in the library and then I'm like, hi, what are you teaching right now? What are your kids doing? What's coming next month? They all have no clue that I'm totally like PT Barnuming is the verb. PT Barnuming them into the like library services.
100%.
The first week of school, if you're a staff member in my building, you will get a gift in your mailbox. They're always thematic. This year, it was key rings, little book key rings. The librarian is the key to your success. And then I tell them all the things I do. Last year, it was just pop in, and it was a bag of popcorn. Like, no expenses, too little for my staff. But it takes me a lot of time to put 200 of those together, just so you know. But I do it so that you take that out of the mailbox the first week and you eat the popcorn or you carry the keyring or whatever, but you have the piece of paper. It's like a ticket. It's like, and a reminder, the school librarian does these. By the way, my principal has his on display on a bookshelf in his office. It's really cute. It makes me very happy.
That's awesome.
And I already have a theme for next year. It's lifesavers. Just
okay.
The school librarian, let the school librarian be your lifesaver.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm so ridiculous. Like, I do this stuff all the time. I have a bulletin board in the hallway currently, and it's all of the staff members that submitted our pictures in high school and our favorite book from high school.
Nice.
We're readers too.
Love
mean, like, I keep tagging myself places so that you don't forget me. And I will. I'll drop in on your PLC randomly and be like, hi, what are we talking about this week? And like, there are some departments I have still yet to teach a collaborative lesson in. This is my 8th year in my library. And that makes me sad because I would like to say I've done them all.
But you are taking these great strides and making sure that your staff knows that you are there, giving them so many different ways that they can access you. And like a program like this where the students are engaged with not just the library, but the school, and not just the school, but the district, like you are building so much awareness of what a library program can be and helping people see that it's not just, even when it's just books, it's not just books.
Correct.
There's so much.
I think we also do that with our community connections with our public library, which I guess is a whole other discussion one day. But I just want my peers who are listening right now to know, A, yes, it's in a tremendous amount of work.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendous amount of work. And B, yes, sometimes it's really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
But C, the payoffs are so huge when they do this.
Yeah.
I could not have told you 3 years ago what this would have become.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has not only been huge for my students, I got to go to a national conference and present out of it.
Yeah.
I get to talk to you on this podcast about it. I've gotten to share with my local community about my awesome students. In the spring, Mary's students and I have been invited by the school board for a day at the administration office where we're going to talk to them about what we do.
Love that.
Show them what we do.
Yes.
Like, the kids get to be the shining star over there for this. The superintendent has invited us over. So
the kids are going to be the shining star, but it's also like it exists because the library was there.
It exists. It exists because the library exists. It exists because we have invested in school libraries here.
Mm-hmm.
I can go on a whole other rant of how much more we could invest. But
well,
the fact is I have worked very hard for some credence, some pull.
Yeah.
To be able to say we're important.
Absolutely.
For reasons.
And this program is showing it in spades. Spades.
I just can't even imagine like not having this now. And who knows what the future holds.
Mm-hmm.
The state will change requirements again or something, but we built the foundation for something to continue, whether that be eventually a volunteer program, an actual full-blown job. We have also had a couple of the other job programs that were developed for our students in different tracks of this, modeled but after this program. So they're not doing the same thing. We have an in-house coffee, tea, cocoa delivery service that happens every Friday for staff members only. And that service, though, modeled what they were doing, lesson plan basing, how they got their financing, off what we did, what Mary and I did.
Nice.
So this has spawned some other things in-house and out of house. So, like, there's so much learning to be done.
Absolutely.
And it didn't have to be books.
Right. No, but the fact that it is books, I think, is just an additional layer of awesomeness on the whole thing. Huh,
we also had one student reply, the one student in the classroom who must be my best friend, replied their favorite part about book repair was sniffing the books. And I was like, I'm so happy I'm not the only person that likes to smell them.
Love it. Man, they are definitely taking after their librarian. I love it. Well, speaking of books. I don't know if that's
good or bad. I'm so sorry, kids.
Speaking of books, speaking of things that we like to sniff, I guess, I think it's now time to take a 90-degree turn and go into our book break.
Book break. Squiddy.
Book break.
Love the book break. So anything you want to share, personal, professional, whatever it is, staff, students, just for sitting on the beach and enjoying, or sitting in front of the fire and drinking a cup of mulled wine.
I'm going to go with this book is a combination of personal and professional.
Love it.
So the book I want to talk about is Why I Love Horror by Becky Siegel Spatford, who's a public librarian in the Chicago area.
Excellent.
And she's published a couple other pieces, like professional books with ALA Publishing before. This is her first book. So Becky has worked for years with the Horror Writers Association of America. I think she's been their secretary and some other thing. Like, she's known to horror writers, and they know and love her. And I love her too. But this book is, she asked popular current horror writers why they love horror, and to write that in short essay format. And then she introduces every essay with what I like to call reader's advisory. She talks about the author, their most known work, and the works that you should read to get into them. So, you're going to get book recs right out of this.
Okay.
It is great for that purpose. So she introduces with those. And, this is a who's who. So if you're a horror reader, you will know these names. If you're not a horror reader, you should become one. says Rain, the horror fan. But like, it's a who's who of who's writing in horror right now. Haley Piper, Gabino Iglesias, Stephen Graham Jones, Cynthia Palaio, like genuinely awesome. Grady Hendrix, which he probably has my favorite piece in here. And so it is a great way to dip your toe in and get a flavor of different people. What they're writing about, and some of these essays are like literal. Why I read horror. As a kid, I got into and some of these take these twisted, dark, like you don't know if it's true or not. And some are professor, like Stephen Graham Jones is kind of professory. Like, here's the thoughtful, intelligent, ecology reason we write. Like they're kind of a little, and Becky threads them together through the book, kind of lumped by what they do, and progressively moves you through the book, which is really, really well done. It gives a great high and low, kind of like reading fiction would. I mean, it's non-fiction, but part fiction.
Kind of mashed it all together. I love it.
Mashed together. And for every student I've given this to so far, they have been able to pick up other authors, their full books afterwards. I have one student who passed it around her whole family. I had to come in every day to tell me about a different story she read, which was pretty fantastic. I love that. So I taught a genre lit class for years. If I were still teaching a regular English 12 class where I got to some flexibility in what I picked, I would pull a piece out of this to read, because I think it is that kind of essential. So definitely not for middle school readers, but high school kids could easily handle most of the material in this book. But it's a real great way to introduce students to this genre and how this kind of writing works.
It also sort of sounds like it would be good for, like, sometimes you might get challenges about this book is so violent. Why would we have horror stuff? Yep. It sounds like there's some rationale in there to be able to say,
oh, absolutely. Why? And if you have not read essays on why you should be reading horror, or books about why we should include horror for students, including at grade school, we need to be scared. It's part of what builds resilience. Like, it's one of the things when we talk about challenges of any material, I'm always like, guys, I'd like your children to do drugs in the streets. No, I want them to read about it in a book.
Right.
Like, it's safe on your couch.
Right.
In your home. It is not safe for them to first encounter it down on the corner.
Right.
Like, so I know that sounds strange. Like, I don't want your kids to ever encounter drugs, obviously, but we learn through reading, learn by other people's reactions we see in reading. And so that's no different in horror. It's no different. And actually being physically scared in a safe situation teaches us how to react when we're physically scared in a scary situation. Like, it trains our body.
Right.
It trains our mind. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think this would totally work for that too. There are definitely essays that address that.
Love it.
I happen to be a horror reader, so I probably a little biased in being like, read a horror book. Which, by the way, if I wouldn't have picked this one, my next 5 would have been horror. So, just so you know, if you have not read Stephen Graham Jones' The Buffalo Hunter, it's probably the best book that was written this year, in my humble opinion. I believe it will be taught as canon at some point. The writing is that incredible.
Okay.
And I know people brush off horror as genre writing that shouldn't be taught as canon, but bull hockey. Like, it is a master class in writing. Master class.
Okay.
Just so y'all know.
On the short list.
Genius. Like, and that's me reading it from a literature teacher perspective in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, not as a horror genre lover. It is mastercrafted.
Man.
I'm dumbfounded somebody is that talented. I'm sort of kind of jelly.
Well, that's definitely going
but I'm
on.
Really happy it exists.
Yeah.
Like, and by the way, that's the other book that's highly circulating out of my library right now, because every school library takes the flavor of the librarian that does it. The other humorous part is well, obviously graphic novels and manga are always in the top, because everybody loves them. I love them too. But the other ones that really highly circulate in my library are romance. And I hate romance, and every student knows it. And it's kind of humorous to come in, because they'll be like, we're going to challenge Miss Smith with a romance rec today. Hi, Miss Smith, can you recommend a book where specifically a girl feels this way about the boy, and then and I'm like, come on, guys, this hurts. Why are you asking me once again? I do not read romance, but let me see what I can do for you, or I'll phone a friend. So it's kind of
you got to be able to call a friend. Yeah,
absolutely, because we can't be experts at all of it by any means.
No,
but what's really funny though is the amount of horror and romance that circulates out of my library. Like, we have other books, kids, but apparently everybody likes kissing and stabbing. This is all we like to do.
Hopefully we're going to keep those two things separated, but...
No, there was a hot little while a couple years ago where everybody came in and was recommending specifically. They were like, can we have some sort of mystery murder book with a little bit of romance in it? And I'm like, what? Like, it was a trend for a hot second where I was like, why? As a person who deeply doesn't love romance, but I'm like, I don't understand. You need some romance to make your horror palatable. Your horror of it, like, I don't understand. You want the boy to be stabbed in the end? Like, somebody please explain to me. But it was trendy, especially in high school YA for a little while, that it's not really a romance. There's like a tiny romantic thread woven in each murder mystery. But I was just like, my brain could not comprehend. And then I went off on a tangent where I'm like, what if you wrote it like a Hallmark Christmas movie, but then there was like murder?
Hallmark Christmas movie, but Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah. Like, Hallmark could do the whole like summer of horror or something, but it'd be romance. I don't know. You're welcome, Hallmark. I'm also helping you out. Like, everyone owes me residuals today.
Well, we all owe you a huge debt of thanks, because this is such an awesome program that you do with your students. And I am just so grateful that you came and shared it, because I know folks are going to want to figure this out, play with this, make this work with their students. Because like you were saying, so many great benefits to this for the students, for the school, for the district, that just, I don't know why people would not be rushing out to start implementing this like tomorrow. So
I do know that finances might be a reason.
Fair enough.
So I will say, to remind you, that many states have grants related to job work in schools and job programming. So make sure you're looking at that. Make sure you're looking at funding through like a local philanthropy group or local college. Like, there are avenues, if it's not funded within, that's easy to get to you. There are absolutely avenues to get the money.
Love that. Another great tip. Man, you are just an unending font, nonstop font of wisdom here. I love it. Thank you so much. I really, truly appreciate you taking the time, sharing all this. It's really awesome. If folks want to catch up with you online, because they absolutely should, where should they go looking for you?
If you want library and my personal, you can catch me on Bluesky, Simply Rain. Just know that my Bluesky is a mix of everything, because I talk about my whole life there. You'll learn that I'm a caregiver at home, and that I have a ridiculous addiction to earrings. And then if you're just wanting school stuff, I have a school Insta, and that's at WCHS MEDCTR Med Center.
All right. Awesome. I know people are going to want to add you right to their list, because again, so much goodness, so much awesomeness, so much happiness, so much school library joy. Thank you so much.
I love being a school librarian. It is really the best job.
It really is the best job.
Everybody's like, okay, Rain.
I'm with you. I'm right there. My therapist always tells me I need other hobbies besides school library. And I'm like, but that's my happy place.
It is. And I got to tell you, sometimes when life gets real rough, the best part of the day is just coming in quiet. I love my school library full of kids. Don't get me wrong. But there's that part where you come in the morning and you turn on the lights, and it's just like you in the library.
Just all potential and all books.
It's so beautiful. And you can sniff them. Nobody will judge you because you're alone. Y'all are going to be like, she is crazy.
That is the perfect place for us to wrap this one up. Thank you so much. So glad you could be here. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the SLLN podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes for the episode. They feature links to resources shared by our guest, as well as ways to keep in touch with them, and links to the book break titles. I'd love to hear from you. If you have feedback, a comment, an idea, a question, or something you want to share, you can email drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. That's drtlovesbooks@gmail.com. Know a librarian with something we could learn from? Let us know. Until next time, be good, be safe, and be well.